The movie starts at a beach where a police officer sees a group of Chinese immigrants running away from the shore with their luggage. As the officer approaches, one man stands and waves a knife. The officer tries to reach for his gun, but another man attacks him from behind. While the officer struggles with the man holding the knife, the immigrants escape. These kinds of incidents have been on Japanese news recently, and the authorities are now closely watching the situation. They are actively searching for illegal Chinese immigrants to enforce the law against them. During the day, a man takes clothes from someone's clothesline and picks shoes from a display by a door. After that, he continues on and arrives in Tokyo's Shinjuku district at night. The man walks around without purpose. Women are seen offering leisure services to men here and there, while other people walk by minding their own business. Suddenly, a gunshot rings through the streets, breaking the quiet of the night. Screams follow as people scatter and run for safety. The man finds a hiding place inside an old crate. He curls up there and watches as people run toward places where the police are not visible. While hiding, he thinks back to his life in China, where people call him Steelhead. Memories flash in his mind. He remembers walking into his girlfriend's house where people were gathered, talking about moving to Japan. He recalls talking with his girlfriend Shushu, who always dreamed of going to Japan. He never stopped her and even encouraged her to follow her dream. In return, Shushu promised to come back once she had earned enough money. She went to Tokyo but broke her promise because after a while no news came from her. Let's pause for a second. If you're still with me, hit like and subscribe for more videos like this. After walking for 2 days, Steelhead arrives at a small house. A young man with curly hair and a bright smile greets him with a hug. This man, named Jia, introduces Steelhead to everyone in the house. Steelhead is soon distracted by the food and takes a bite before Jia finishes speaking. Days go by as Steelhead learns to live in the shadows. Jia shows him around and introduces him to others like them, people who are seen as aliens in the country and hunted by the law. One night, while Steelhead and others are working in the sewers, their adrenaline rises as the police suddenly show up. The workers start to run, but the police catch many of them and make them stop. The officers line them up and question each person one by one. Detective Kitano notices Steelhead and speaks to him directly in broken Chinese. While Kitano questions Steelhead, other police officers begin to handcuff the workers. The workers try to run again. During the chase, Detective Kitano falls down a chute and starts to drown. Steelhead returns quickly and saves Kitano before running away once more. After this, Kitano feels that he owes his life to Steelhead. Steelhead keeps living in hiding, accepting that he will earn only half the pay of those who work openly at the same jobs. Some people who know Jia tell Steelhead about the secrets of the black market, but like Jia, Steelhead refuses to get involved. Now, Steelhead works outside a restaurant, washing dishes. A young woman approaches him and gives him some money for food. Then an old man comes out of the restaurant and calls the woman by her name, Lily-san. The old man happily sings about how Lily always takes care of him. Suddenly, a group of men dressed in black block them and demand money. One of the men hits the old man on the head with a bottle, knocking him down, and Lily screams. At that moment, Steelhead arrives carrying a pipe. He swings it at the men and drives them away as they scream for help. Lily takes Steelhead to a bar she owns. Her employees quickly help the old man, named Mito, who is bleeding heavily. Lily offers Steelhead food, drink, work, and money, but he refuses. He even returns the money she gave him earlier. They spend the night drinking and talking about life. Later, Steelhead works again with Jia at a fancy restaurant filled with people. Jia points out some important people in Shinjuku. Then Steelhead sees a woman he recognizes wearing a kimono with her hair tied in a bun. She is surrounded by other women who greet her respectfully. Unsure about what he sees, Steelhead asks Jia for his opinion. Now both men feel uncertain. The night is ending, and Steelhead decides to wait just outside the restaurant. This choice works well because his eyes meet the woman's, and at that moment, he knows for sure it is Shushu, his long-lost fiancée. But he quickly learns something else. Shushu is married now. She is married to a powerful man Jia had pointed out to him before, a man believed to be part of the Yakuza. That man is Iguchi Tashignori, who is indeed a Yakuza and a subhead of a group called Sanwakai. Steelhead is heartbroken, but makes a decision that night. He tells Jia that he will now live for himself, even if that means breaking the law. Jia's acquaintances support Steelhead and help him get started in this new path. They begin carrying out various schemes, from stealing luxury items in malls to tampering with machines in arcades. Steelhead also gathers more men into his team, and soon they all start earning more than before. However, Jia remains nervous about the illegal activities and makes mistakes at times. Because of this, the others decide he should not be involved in the dark business. To keep him safe, they surprise Gia with a chestnut cart, which has always been his dream. Still, selling chestnuts on the streets does not completely take Gia away from the dangerous world. On New Year's Eve, everyone is celebrating. Steelhead brings Lily with him and introduces her to the rest of the gang. They enjoy a big meal together, teasing Steelhead as they eat. But the joyful night takes a dark turn when Gia arrives home with a beaten face. He cries and tells Steelhead that a Chinese gang leader named Uncle Tak had him beaten because Gia befriended his daughter, and Uncle Tak also took away his chestnut cart. Angry and protective of his brother, Steelhead decides to find Uncle Tak despite warnings that Uncle Tak has the backing of the Yakuza. A man called Hong Kong Boy follows Steelhead and shows him where Uncle Tak lives. When they arrive, they are not alone. Steelhead's men come too, armed with everyday tools. Seeing his men suffer against Steelhead's group, Uncle Tak surrenders and tells Steelhead where the cart is. The police arrive quickly at the scene, forcing everyone to run away just as fast as they had caused injuries to some Japanese men. Steelhead, however, is lucky to meet Detective Kitano again, who thanks him for saving his life before helping him escape with the chestnut cart. Another important night comes for Gia, who is now healthy enough to sell chestnuts again. While Dai is playing in the arcade, he calls for Gia because he needs to use the restroom. Gia walks into the arcade and sits at the pachinko machine where Dai had been playing. But as Gia puts pinballs into the machine, someone grabs his shoulder. When he looks up, he sees a man in a suit with several men behind him. This man is Gao, a Taiwanese gang leader and the most feared in Shinjuku. Gao accuses Gia of tampering with the machine, but Gia strongly denies it and explains that he knows the place because he sells chestnuts outside. Gao ignores his explanation and orders his men to drag Gia outside. Dai sees this happen and immediately goes home to tell the others. Upon hearing the news, the group stops eating and rushes to the arcade, but they arrive too late. Gao has already cut Gia's right hand while he was walking with boiling chestnuts. They can only bring Gia home and get him medical treatment. Steelhead feels deep pain hearing Gia's cries about his injured hand. Filled with determination, he decides to go to Gao's territory. There, he hides and waits quietly with a sword hidden in his coat. While waiting, he overhears Togawa Kyohei asking Gao to kill Iguchi. Soon after, Iguchi arrives to talk business with Gao. Steelhead watches closely as Gao suddenly pulls a Taiwanese knife from behind him and slashes Iguchi's stomach. Just as Gao is about to finish Iguchi off, Steelhead strikes. He shows Gao his bare forearm and quickly slashes it with his sword, stopping the attack. Afterward, Iguchi takes Steelhead to his house, where Steelhead meets Iguchi's wife, Yuko, who was once called Shushu. He also meets their daughter, Ayako. Yuko acts as translator between Iguchi and Steelhead, and Iguchi offers Steelhead a job, which Steelhead politely refuses. The attack on his life leaves Steelhead shaken and thoughtful. Steelhead becomes even more frustrated when the head of the Yakuza doesn't believe him, after he accuses the Togawa Gumi of trying to kill Iguchi. Instead of acting on the warning, the head forces Iguchi to apologize for making the accusation. With a clearer goal in mind, Iguchi visits Steelhead again, and this time, Steelhead offers him a deal. In exchange for legal status in Japan and full control over the Taiwanese gang territories, Steelhead will take out the leaders of both Togawa Gumi and Sanwakai. Iguchi accepts the deal without hesitation, as he already has the papers that will make Steelhead legal. After Sanwakai's leader is killed, chaos erupts within the group, and they blame Togawa Gumi for the death. As a result, Sanwakai members begin hunting down their enemies openly, even during the day, causing a wave of violence across Shinjuku and forcing the police to increase their presence. With the power shift, Iguchi rises to become the new leader of Sanwakai, while Togawa Kyohei replaces his father as the head of Togawa Gumi. Steelhead gets control over all Taiwanese territories, but he doesn't manage the operations himself. Instead, he lets his fellow Chinese immigrants handle everything while he opens a tractor repair business for himself. But the growing influence of the Chinese immigrants doesn't go unnoticed. Kyohei brings it to the attention of the supreme Yakuza leader, who then questions Iguchi. Iguchi tells the leader not to worry, and claims that the Chinese are just pawns for his larger plans. Later, Iguchi reveals to the supreme leader that he plans to get rid of Kyohei next. However, things don't go as planned. Iguchi's own men betray him and side with Kyohei and the supreme leader, joining their plan to eliminate him. At the same time, with the Japanese government putting pressure on Yakuza activities, Steelhead gets an unexpected visit from Detective Kitano. What shocks Steelhead most is the information Kitano brings. He shows documents proving how large Steelhead's operation has become, revealing that he is now the biggest foreign gang leader in Japan, something Steelhead didn't even realize. On top of that, Kitano reveals that Gia has been dealing drugs and working secretly with Iguchi's criminal activities. Steelhead promises to confront Gia himself and asks Kitano not to arrest any of his people. Kitano agrees to follow his own rules and says he will only arrest real criminals. Detective Kitano tells Steelhead that he is willing to make an arrangement if Steelhead can give him something that will bring Iguchi down. Meanwhile, Lily stays by Steelhead's side and tries to convince him to leave everything behind and go to Brazil for safety. But Steelhead refuses to back down. Instead, he admits to Kitano that he was behind the killings of the Togawa Gumi and Sanwakai leaders. This confession leads Lily to slap him and call him selfish. Lily, upset with his decision, leaves him on the spot. Later, on a critical night, Steelhead takes Kitano to their headquarters. When they enter, everyone looks at them in shock and anger, unable to understand why Steelhead would bring a cop to their secret hideout. Steelhead doesn't give an immediate explanation, and instead starts confronting Gia, accusing him of doing things behind his back. That's when he learns that Gia isn't acting alone and that others in the group are also involved in dirty deals. This sparks a heated argument as everyone starts pointing fingers and blaming one another. Steelhead tries to calm things down and tells them that all they need to do is turn in Iguchi, and Kitano will help them with the law. But nobody listens. Things take a violent turn when Hong Kong Boy suddenly slashes one of the group members and then threatens Steelhead with the same knife. Just before he can attack, a stone comes flying through the window and hits him in the head, knocking him out. Steelhead looks outside and sees that more stones are being thrown at the building. Within seconds, chaos takes over. Nakajima has led a surprise ambush with his men. Everyone inside starts fighting for their lives with whatever they can grab, and people run and hide while Kitano calls for police backup despite the madness. In the middle of this, Iguchi stands near a window and becomes an easy target. Nakajima shoots him in the chest. As he collapses, Iguchi pulls out a flash drive and hands it to Steelhead with his last bit of strength. Soon, police sirens are heard as officers arrive and start trying to bring the riot under control. They get Kitano to safety and begin arresting whoever they can. Steelhead goes looking for Gia and finds him bleeding badly, unable to survive. With nothing else to do, Steelhead gently covers Gia's body with a cloth. He then calls Yuko and tells her that Iguchi is dead and asks her to meet him at Okubo Station. What he doesn't know is that Kyohei is holding Yuko hostage and uses her phone call to find out where Steelhead is heading. Kyohei quickly sends his men to the station. Steelhead, now on the run again, finds himself being chased and attacked on the streets of Shinjuku. He keeps running until he gets blocked by several men. Just as they are about to strike, Detective Kitano arrives nearby with other officers. Nakajima shoots Steelhead, but Kitano reacts fast and kills Nakajima with a bullet. The movie ends with Detective Kitano finding Steelhead floating in the same chute at the end of the Shinjuku sewers, the very place where Steelhead once saved his life. Kitano tries to pull him out, but Steelhead knows his time is up. Blood spreads through the water as Steelhead reaches out and hands Kitano the flash drive. Hit like and subscribe for more videos like this. With his last bit of strength, he lets the current carry him away.